Hello, this is me again, Tobias here, trying to make a video vlog here, a video live here outside in beautiful Norway. Ocean is over there, I'm sitting here in the sun. Today it's not so much windy as last time, so that's good. It's lots of sun though. So I'm trying to be a little bit more relaxed here, have a bit of coffee, and just waiting for if there are some more people coming on or not. And yeah, so to everybody, you watching the replay, my name is Tobias, and yeah, I'm transitioning from being a video course teacher and video editor and creative professional into a bit more of a kind of creative life coach, and also back to my roots being a musician. And so I'm making this series of videos where I talk about creativity, about identity, especially for people who maybe had to go through a lot of, oppression of their creativity, maybe family, life, the village or the city where they live in, or all their friends are maybe good friends, but none of them is like super creative, and none of them thinks that you can make a career or a business out of that, or at least have it as a valuable hobby that gives strength to you. But often creativity is connected to, want to show it off to somebody. Like if you paint, you want somebody to see the painting and to admire it. If you make music, you want people to listen to it and to love it and possibly also buy it. So there's always an aspect of you put your heart and soul into something, and you hope and expect that others will see that and like it and maybe buy it, or at least honor the heart and soul that is in it. And if that doesn't happen, that is what hurts. And if that happens a lot, it can create heartbreak. It can create like that you change who you are and what you want to do in life, and maybe stop being creative and stop being an artist. And if that is kind of what happened to you, kind of like it did to me, then this video and this video series and maybe upcoming podcast is for you. So yeah, now that is all said, let's have another sip of coffee while you can have a view at the ocean or something. So I'm sitting here in the nature with some angels in the back that Vanessa, my wife, put there, and also here. Okay, I don't know, can I do this somehow? Next to the coffee is one as well. Yes, so in this little video, again, I don't want to make it too long, but still maybe around 8-10 minutes. I've already spent 3 of those, I think. But yeah, so I want to share a little story of that happened after I had went through quite a big change in life already, which I will not go into so much now in this video. It would be too long. But basically I had moved out from home. I was about 19-20, so I had to do either military service or substitute service, civil service or something as we call it in Germany. So I was actually doing that, and was very shy and afraid because I wouldn't talk with people, and because I was used that everything I say has no value. At least that's how it felt to me. Like I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to make people happy, and so I would always try to talk with other musicians, or if I was in church I would talk with maybe the worship leaders or whoever I saw would be into music or should be into music. And so yeah, so I had some connections, but it was not really anything. Like I was a drummer, so I played drums, also sometimes in church and different orchestras, which wasn't so interesting, because I wanted to do something more creative, don't just fit into the mold. But I didn't know what to do, and nobody was encouraging it. So when I was like 18, I was like, okay, let's start DJing. Yeah, so drumming and DJing didn't fit into the church, didn't fit into much of my surroundings, the place where I lived, and not so many opportunities. I had one or two friends who were quite into it as well, so I had one who I made music with. He's still a musician today, but makes his money kind of as a mix between a photographer and a sound designer. So he had to kind of do other things for other companies. And it's kind of my story as well, how that turned out to be. So I became kind of a graphic designer and eventually a video teacher. I first produced a lot of videos and now teach others how to make professional videos, even though now I'm kind of not following all of my rules and make live videos just simply like this. But so when I was like 19 or 20 and sorry, just have a bit of coffee. I think my voice was a bit cracking. So when I was like 19 and maybe 20, I think after my 20th birthday, that all started to change. So then I was living in this other place, and they had a bunch of other young adults coming in, also doing similar civil service work. Some worked in the kitchen. I worked more with house and groundkeeping and taking out trash and stuff. And some others were more like into the Christian aspect of things. So there was like a church and a youth ministry connected with it. So it was a whole mix of people, and that was quite encouraging to see that, hey, there are other people who spend time on spiritual things, but also on, let's say, plan youth events or plan concerts or formed a band. So at that time I kind of didn't drum so much anymore, so but I started enjoying playing percussions a bit. So I joined one guy's band and we played a bit on like some Christian conferences and youth events. Not too much. It wasn't a career of anything, but it's nice when there are other creatives and things are happening. And so one of the stories was that I wanted to share that really was like opening up something which I want to dig into now, all these years later. One of those things that was a bit eye-opening to me was one week or so, or maybe a weekend, I'm not sure, there was like another young woman coming there because for the civil work. So she was like having like 2 or 3 days or a week of working there to see if it fits and if she can fit in and if the work is good for her and everything, something like that, like a tryout. And I remember when we all sat and ate together, and by that time I had kind of started to overcome my insecurities and shyness a bit. And I heard her talk about like, oh, she likes to write poems in her time off. So then I had already started to get into a bit of music production, and I had bought one synthesizer and found some way to connect some equipment that I had borrowed so I could record one by one track on my computer. So I was like, hey, you write poems. I started to make music. What would you think if we would record your poems, or if you would speak and read out your poems and we could make some ambient trip-hop chill out music or something in the back? And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna think about that. She wasn't too bold either at first, but then the day after or so she came back and she was like, yeah, why not? And so it turned out that her poems were more like actual prayers and very like vulnerable. So I think I had to leave the room and just let her record it. Like I had prepared some songs then. We met like a day or two later, so I prepared some, not songs, but pieces of music that built up and they built down, and I could change them a bit according to the content of the poem. So she came and she recorded, I think 4 poems, or 3 at least. And at that time we still made CDs, so the goal was that when she leaves this trial work, tryout thing, she could take that CD with her and just experience how her voice sounds, how some music sounds, and what her poems could be. So we called it in the end Poetry Prayers. And I mean, nothing more came of it. At least I have never spoken to that woman before and after. So it was just that weekend or that week where she was having that work tryout in the same place where I was working. But that was, I remember that until this day. It was maybe the first time I had another person who was like a shy creative, but really wanted to be set free in a way. And it turned out to be Poetry Prayers with some trip-hop music, and record that. So, I mean, that was in, I don't know, 2002 or 3 or 1, something like that. So, by that time, it wasn't so usual that everybody has smartphones and computers to record stuff on. So it was a bit more special to hear your own voice on a video or on a recording. And of course, we tried to make it sound good and everything. So it was a bit more special then. But even today, I mean, yeah, just this possibility to do something for others that helps them be bold and make them come alive in their creativity and in their art. That is something that really opens my heart up. And that's what I want to do more. And that's why I want to make those videos and maybe podcasts and encourage you to develop your art, even if nobody else around you encourages it. And I don't know how this all will be, if this will be some kind of life coaching thing or some group program coming up, or I don't have a website yet, I don't have a booking form, I don't have a plan yet, I don't have a proper name for it. In the last video I said maybe we can call it Breakthrough to Creativity or Boldness for Creativity, or somebody also commented and said something like from creative break to creative breakthrough or something like that. So if you have any good ideas for a name for this podcast or website or service that I'm offering maybe in the future too, if you're into business and maybe 2 steps ahead of me, let me know. Maybe we can work something out. But yeah, Breakthrough to Creativity is what I call it now. This was my story of how Poetry Prayers came to be, helping another creative to be a little bit more bold and have a recording of her own voice, which sometimes is a bit scary to see yourself or hear yourself. But if you want to be a creative, whether that's full-time or not, you need to be bold. You can't just be in your own room or home hidden away somewhere. There's something in your longing to express your creativity and also show it to others and make others happy and see their reactions, right? That's part of the creative identity. So if you struggle with that, I'm here to help you with that, and I'm here to encourage you with that. Okay, this has been a long video, so thank you for watching and staying with me. Again, I'll re-upload it to YouTube and other places. And with that, from beautiful Norway, if you believe in God, then God bless you. And if you don't, well, be blessed anyway. From beautiful Norway, signing off. All right, bye for now.